So today we are going to be talking about mobile sales, and before the sort of the agenda, I'll give you a very brief overview as to who we are, what we do. If you were here last week, I apologize, I'll bore you a little bit, but it's kind of the same information twice. But then we're going to jump right into an actual live demo of the product, okay? So real quick, who we are, what we do. And I don't read screens, I promise. So this will all be available in a recorded format that you'll get a copy of later. So no even need to even take notes. But basically what we do at ScanForce is we mobilize Sales 100. And we do that both inside and outside the four walls. Inside the four walls, of course, that's the warehouse management side of things, inventory control, barcodes, that jazz. But then outside the four walls, with your sales force, going out and visiting customers and things of that nature. So that's really what we're here to talk about today, okay? Now, we've been around for the better part of 20 years. We're headquartered down in Miami. We have, actually, this slide needs to be updated. I didn't realize that. We are now over 800 installs and over 8,000 users. So my apologies for not recognizing that this slide needed to be upgraded, but that's a good thing. You'll see over on this right-hand side there, I don't want to harp on the other companies that utilize the technology, but just in brief, the technology that we're built on, every sort of mobile application built to run on any type of handheld or tablet type device is built using an application generation tool. It's a piece of software that helps you devise the screens and handle the transfer of data back and forth. And the application that we use is also used by the likes of FedEx and their distribution facilities, and Whirlpool for their people that go out and do repairs and things of that nature. In fact, there's one company on here that's not even listed. They have over 1,000 trucks on the road, and their drivers all use it. They have 1,000 people that are all using the same back-end system to share data back and forth with the mothership. So our system is extremely scalable and very, very stable and very, very fast. Okay. Now, the solutions that we do offer, I'll give you a quick rundown. We have our warehouse management systems, and of course, that's what a lot of people think of when they hear the name ScanForce. We're the barcoding company in Sage 100 world. So if you do have inventory issues, if you'd like to talk about how to make receiving and picking and shipping and physical inventory more efficient, I'd love to have that conversation with you. All right, label printing. A lot of people say, well, how am I supposed to, use a barcoding system? We don't have any barcodes on anything. Well, labeling is built into our DNA, and it's built into our software. So we have the ability to print labels on demand at receipt of goods, if you make something, when you ship something, and it all spits right out of Sage, okay? Manufacturing, if you are so inclined, if you're not strictly distribution, but if you make stuff or even put things together to send them out and use bill of materials, even the old work order solution, which Sage, of course, is trying to sort of go the way of the dodo in favor of production management, we can work with all of those. And of course, multi-bin, you'll see DSD/ScanForce multi-bin. It's the solution that we actually wrote for Sage 100 to give you the visibility of items living in more than one place. So if you have a pick bin and then you have an overstock or overflow location, or broken cases and partial cases, or if you just have things that can't fit all on one shelf and you want to be able to see that in Sage, that's what our multi-bin solution is for, okay? And last but not least, mobile sales, okay? So we're going to talk a lot more about mobile sales. I won't harp on it on this particular slide, okay? So a few things that you'll notice about us. Number one, speed. I told you about the technology we use to build our applications. It is extremely fast. We did a thing several years ago called the Million Record Challenge. We had our folks pump 1 million records into Sage, and then we asked for one discrete piece of information. It returned it in 0.03 seconds, which is really, really fast, even in computer terms, okay? Our screen's also very intuitive. I always joke that if I just tossed a scanner out in front of people, they could just pick it up and start doing their job, because we don't teach people how to enter sales orders. We don't teach people how to receive things or how to pick and ship things. They do the normal flow of their job. We just give them the tools so they can enter that data electronically and have it flow directly into Sage, instead of people filling out forms and then sending it into the office. Whether it comes from the outside sales force or whether it comes from the warehouse, it's really sort of the same thing. And also, what really sets us apart is our support. And this is something that you can talk to any of your consulting team there and ask them what are their thoughts on support and how we interact with our clients. And I'd much rather you hear it from them than me, but our support's fantastic. So talk to anybody with the microaccounting team and ask them their thoughts on that. Okay. Now let's dig a little bit deeper into mobile sales. Okay. True mobility, what does that mean? It means not being tied to a PC, okay? So now I can do things while I'm walking around and I'm moving. I don't have to be in my office, I can do it outside the office. Being able to look up information about customers and items and see things like their pricing structure, see what they owe us. That's a big thing that we'll talk about. Looking at items and seeing quantities. Do we have this stuff in stock and do we trust it? And a lot of people tell me, you know, even if the system says we've got 10, I don't always trust that number, okay? Well, that's what our warehouse management system side of the business is designed to do, to give you trust and faith that the number in Sage is the real number. We have accuracy and efficiency and timeliness all baked into that solution so that you can hopefully reduce your carrying costs. You don't have to develop a sort of a fluff factor and carry extra carrying costs with extra added inventory because you know you can't trust the number that's in Sage. That's really what we provide, is trust that the number in Sage is accurate, okay? We can do signature capture. We can email people copies of quotes and orders on demand, processing credit cards, even tax calculations, okay? So now let's go ahead and show you how all that works. Now, bear with me 1 second. I'm going to end the slideshow and I'm going to bring up the actual screen. Now, you'll notice the format of this is a landscape layout, not portrait, okay? Landscape, because this is built to be run on a tablet, all right? There's a lot of data on here. Hold your phone up to the screen and imagine how small this would be on your phone. It's probably not usable. Okay, we certainly don't recommend it. It's built to be run on a tablet, like an iPad even. And we could even use older generation iPads. I always joke that I had someone that came up to me about a year ago and said, well, I bought a new iPad for my kid and I've got their old one running like iOS 9, something that's way old. Well, we could still run on it, okay? So we can certainly use any sort of iOS, Apple type device. Of course, any Android type tablet is good. And we can run on a Windows PC, which is what I'm doing right now with this handheld application. All right. So when you look at the screen, the first thing you notice is our logo right here. Well, we want to put your logo there because we expect this to be a customer-facing thing. We want this to be something you can turn around to the customer and say, here, is this look like exactly what you wanted to order, Mr. Customer? We want this to be your application. We want them to see your name, your logo right here. Now, just let me give you a quick overview. This is just showing me all the data that I've collected today since the last time I synced up, all right? So I've got 2 transactions that I've stored here. This is their average, their total. Now, this is strictly informational for the rep that's using it, okay? Now, let's talk about the rep that might be using it, who might be putting this into place. Certainly, if you think about an outside sales rep, someone that goes and sits across the desk from your customer and says, hey, what do you need, okay? And we'll give them tools, and I'm going to show them to you here in just a moment, that allow them to look up and see what they've ordered in the past. Might they need to add a little something more? You know, maybe did you forget one line item, Mr. Customer, that you usually order from us, okay? So we're going to put that kind of information right at their fingertips. So it works perfectly in that traditional outside sales or route sales type environment where you go visit your customers. It also works great on the show floor. If you go to trade shows, that's getting a lot more popular now post-COVID. So trade shows and industry type events are starting to come back into favor. So you can actually take orders from the show floor, okay? It also works very well if you have a counter sale or a will call type department where people come to your company and they want to buy stuff. It's very, very popular in like electrical supply, plumbing supply, that sort of thing, where people come in the morning, they want to place an order. You don't have an existing order, they want to place an order. Well, we can do it on a tablet while we're walking around with them saying, I want 1 of those and 3 of those. We can be punching those in as we go and then do all the signature capture and all that jazz at the end, okay? So a lot of different potential uses for this I want you to think about as we go through our discussions today. So all those users can see this kind of information, what they've collected during the day. All right, now I'm going to start at the bottom because I want you to see how we build the information that's going to be on the tablet. Some of these tablets may be Wi-Fi only. Others may have a cellular card. Okay, so when you buy an iPad or a Galaxy tablet or whatever it is, you have the choice of getting one that you can have a cellular contract with through a Verizon or AT&T or whoever, or you could be strictly a Wi-Fi device. Now, if it's cellular, you can sync up and send the data every single time you place an order. Or if it's a Wi-Fi version and you don't have Wi-Fi, well, you can collect that data like I've done here, and you'll see I have 2 unsent transactions that are being stored locally in my device. And then when I come into range of a Wi-Fi, I can hit send data and send all that back. Now, what type of data are we sending? Let me show you, okay? Now, I'm going to spend a lot of time in talking about all these, but every time you hit the send button, it's going to synchronize all this with Sage. So if anybody makes a change in Sage, to an alias item or an alternate item or a company or a customer, or the contacts there, credit card changes, to item codes, item costing, the cost or the price that you charge to your customers, pricing levels. Let's roll on down. And item quantities change all the time. So you can sync this as many times a day as you want to get up to the second information about all of those. Obviously, there's a lot of job cost type information out there as well. Ship to addresses, if that changes, okay, tax information. So there's a ton of information here that we synchronize down to the tablet. So this is going to look and feel very much like sitting at a PC and keying an order. We just make it a little bit more streamlined, okay? So now let's talk about some of these items over here. Transactions we'll get to in a moment. Right now, let's look at the inquiries. First of all, if we do an item inquiry, okay? You know, in Sage, if you want to do an item inquiry, you want to go in and look and see, do I have some of this in stock? Well, you could click on any given item and look and see, no, I don't have any here. And then you can look over here and say, oh, but in my other warehouse, I do. So you could toggle back and forth. And all these like color, size, style, things that come out of Sage that are customizable, even images. I don't have a picture of a widget, but if I did, I could put that picture here and I can actually show the customer and say, is this the one that you were looking for? Just to make sure, is that the right color? Is that the right style? And you have all that information right there at your fingertips. Now, the way that you can search this, let's say I want to look at all of my items that begin with 19. Well, now I can look at 1901, 02, 03, 04, and on down the list. I can also say, you know, I know this item begins with HON, so I can type that in and I can search on the description. So it's searchable by description or item code in the same field. We try to keep the screens very, very clean and very, very simple for your people to use. So item inquiry, great tool. Your people can use it. If your customer asks a question, hey, do you have some of those in stock? You can look and it can be up to the minute type information, okay? Now, customer inquiry. If I go look at a specific customer, this is information right off the customer header file over there in Sage, okay? I can look at the main screen here where I have their sort of normal addresses and contacts and terms and all that jazz. I can flip over to the contacts tab and I can even toggle between 2 different contacts. Let's say I'm on my way to see somebody and I get held up in traffic. Well, I don't have to call somebody in the office and say, hey, somebody go into Sage and look up John Quinn's information. I gotta call the person and tell them I'm gonna be late. I just do it right from my tablet and I've got all the information right here, okay? Ship tos, I can toggle between those as well, okay? I can go back and forth from one to the other, all right? And then this one I think is crucially important, and I think a lot of people overlook it, but I think they do so to their own detriment. Open invoices. Before your salespeople go in to visit a customer, they should absolutely look at this screen, okay? I can look and I can say, hey, look, we've got some money out here that's beyond 60 days, okay? So can we get this cleaned up? You know, just have that conversation with them. We're all about giving your people accurate and timely information so they can have accurate and timely conversations with your customers. Ultimately, sales is all about keeping the customer happy. If you give them the information they want in a timely manner, everybody's happy. You know, they say, you know, bad news doesn't age well. So even if it's not great news, if you give it to them in a timely manner, it's a lot easier to swallow that pill. And that's what this is about. And I can toggle between open invoices and open sales orders here as well, okay? All right, let me drill, and by the way, you could drill down into those and see the line item detail as well, okay? So we've covered pretty much everything except the transactions. So if I want to go into a new transaction, the first thing it wants to know is who's the customer. Now I can sit here and scroll back and forth, or again, I could come up here and I can search for it. that person or that company. All right, I'm just going to select this one. It's the same one I selected before, all the same looking information. And now it's going to ask me what type of transaction. You can see the list there for yourself of the different types of transactions that we can create here on the mobile device. But you may be saying, well, I don't want my people out in the field to do credit memos. I don't want them to create invoices. That's easy. We have a settings file behind the scenes. We can turn any of these off that you don't want them to see. If you only want them to see quotes and orders, that's all they have to see. So let's go in and do a sales order now. You'll notice this screen looks identical to when we just did the customer inquiry lookup, okay? That's by design, except now it's not all grayed out. I can go and I can change all this information, but you may be looking at this and going, terms? I don't want my people to change the terms. I set the terms, so I'll tell you what the terms are. Don't let them change it. That's fine. We can go in through the settings and we can gray this field out so we can inhibit it. They can't go in there and monkey around with it, right? Same thing with the addresses. I can come up here and I can say, you know what, we're going to ship to this address in Milwaukee instead. And then when I get to the line items, this looks very much like the item inquiry screen, okay? We do that by design. We want to keep it very consistent, very easy to learn. If I select any one given item, my pricing automatically flows in, okay? But I can say, hey, look, I don't have any on hand in this warehouse. So I tell you what, Mr. Customer, let me look around and yep, in my central warehouse, I've got bukus of this stuff. Is it okay if I ship that in? May take a few days. Again, not exactly the answer that they wanted to hear, but you're giving them the answer that they need, the correct, accurate information, and you're giving it to them in a timely manner. They will appreciate it. They'll have a better overall customer experience. Your people will look much more intelligent than if, well, I don't know, I think maybe we've got some, let me call somebody and check. Wouldn't it be easier just to go tap, tap and say, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I've got, 932 available, okay? So you can, change your quantities, whatever you want to do. I'm going to add one of those to my order. And I'll grab another item here. Maybe they want 10 of those. Okay, so I'll change my quantity and I'll add that to the order. All right. Now, up here, I have the ability to do this last purchase lookup. I think that's really handy because you could say, you know what, last time you also ordered some of the green widgets in addition to the orange and the gray. Your customer might just say, oh, yeah, I forgot. Well, wouldn't now be the right time to find that out? Again, your customer has a better overall experience, okay? Price lookups, aliases, all that jazz, all available to you right here. You can also filter all this. Like you could say, let me look at one particular product line, okay? And let's just sort through and see if we can find the right item that you're looking for there, all right? And then when you flip over to the total screen, it gives you all the totals. Here's the total of all the line items. The dollar amounts total up right here. If I want to highlight any one of them, I can edit it with the pencil. I can delete it right up here, okay? If you're happy, you could turn that screen around and say, Mr. Customer, is this exactly what you're looking for? I can go ahead and hit sign right here and do signature capture, okay? And then if I want to hit save, it's going to say save that transaction. And now, if I want, I can print it out. So if I'm doing this in the office, like in my counter sale, I can print it out, hand it to them right then and there. Or if I'm sitting in their office or I'm at a trade show, I can hit email and it's going to go to the email on file for that contact. Okay, so you can be sitting with your customer either on the show floor or in their office and say, okay, great, I've just emailed you a copy of it and we can do the signature capture right here if you didn't do it on the previous screen. And right now that is printing out a pick ticket in our warehouse and our folks are starting to get that order together for you right now. Anything else I can do for you, sir? And see, that's powerful. That's the kind of message that you want to convey to your clients, that you're tech savvy, that you have the ability to give them this timely information, okay? All right, I'm going to jump back to the main menu now, and now I have a third transaction. Now, reviewing transactions, what I'm doing here, I'm just looking at the transaction I have saved. I have a couple of sales orders, I have one master order, so I could go in and look at those, and I could edit those from that screen if I wanted to. And then if I have cellular, I can hit send, and the data poof goes right back, flows into Sage. Or if I wait until I have Wi-Fi, like if I want to show floor, maybe I have Wi-Fi, or maybe I have to wait till I get to my home office, or maybe if I drop into Starbucks or McDonald's or something after the sales call, I can hit send there and send it through the Wi-Fi and get it back into the system, okay? So the point here is more accurate information, more timely information, keeping your customers updated and getting better results, because with all the information that we're getting, if you talk to them about AR, maybe you can get those invoices paid while you're there. Okay, if you talk to them about stuff they've ordered in the past that they haven't ordered more recently, maybe you get to that upsell and that add-on. Okay, it doesn't take too many of those kinds of things to pay for the system like this. Okay, it's inexpensive to get into, and if you have some specifics about how you might use it, or could we display a UDF or something like that, absolutely, we can do those kind of things for you. All right, we can collect those kind of data. So that is the end of my presentation. I am going to now turn things back over, and let's see if we have any questions. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to prop those in the chat if you would like, okay?